right, guys, welcome back. You are still tuned in to Fantastic Fridays, and you know that we're here with you every single Friday. Another Friday, them win on you on Friday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. All right, and from you hear that song, you know it is time for Talk the Ting with Kim, right? And for this week or discussion, guys, this has actually been something that's on my mind for a bit, and it's things to consider for back to school, right? And I know when you think back to school, you're thinking about school book and uniform and the belt and the shoes, and yeah, one day if you're gonna make them wear about the shoes from last year, or if they need a new sneakers now. And yeah, these are all valid questions, but that's not the perspective we're gonna be discussing that in now. I was thinking, though, that we need to actually check in with our kids.
Yeah.
We need to start doing that. As we actually said it earlier, all of us believe that children are seen and not heard. And guys, that is a grave mistake, because kids are experiencing their own issues. Don't think that because they're young, them can't have no problem, them can't have no stress. No, that is not true. And we're seeing it in society. We are seeing it in our schools. We're seeing it in the homes. And I thought that, you know what, we need to check in and find out, are our kids are okay? You know, have conversations, observe them a bit more to see what is probably causing some of these reactions or these actions, right? So now that's the perspective we're taking with this whole things to consider, you know, for back to school. And I agree that this is a conversation that we need to have. I think it's an overdue conversation.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mr. Fresh Concept?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Sometimes, as I guess parents or guardians or persons who are put, you know, adults, I would say, we kind of overlook the kids,
disregard them.
I mean, we or answer most of the time is, yeah, I've been there, done that, and we survive.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah.
So we often might, put under the rug some of their issues, some of their concerns. So it's definitely something we need to look into.
Yeah.
Especially with the upcoming school period about to begin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I hope that with this conversation, guys, as I said, we're not here to preach. We're here to teach and learn from each other, right? Because I don't want to just be like a one-sided conversation. So if you guys have questions as well, feel free to ask. If you guys have any input, feel free to share, right? Because I learn from you guys just as much as you guys learn from me. Now, I know that you guys see an extra lovely face beside me in studio.
Damn, you
right?
shouldn't have to do that.
No,
for me.
sir, I know you.
Oh, right.
Not this time.
All right.
Other times are you know, but another time.
I wash my face, I thought it was working. All right.
Well, listen, the face that you see beside me, you see the light, so you sit under the studio light.
Oh.
And when you walk in, the place just bright.
They brought their own light.
Listen, JPS don't have she don't have a JPS bill.
Well.
So when you walk, she just bring light.
That out loud, they might look for it. But anyway.
So yes, beside me we have Miss Jhodi Bennett, NREMT, which is nationally registered EMT. And listen, I have to cut off the rest of the alphabet behind her name.
Yeah.
Because it's more than 26 letters. All right, you understand? The 26 letters of the alphabet, and that's how it go when it comes to Miss Jhodi.
All right.
Right? So, but I'm telling you, she knows her stuff. And the minute I told her about what I wanted to speak about, she was just happy and she was on board with the conversation. So she's a public health educator and an educational health consultant. But don't make that trick, yo. I'm telling now, only put alphabet behind her name, you know.
Yeah.
Right? She has done her medical rotations in China and India and other Caribbean countries. And then she's also certified within all 50 states of America and all U.S. territories. I'm going to tell you guys, them thinking I'm overnight. So she put in her work for the knowledge that she's about to bestow upon us, a gem she's about to drop, right? And so it's sort of saved me for read the book them she don't read, right? So that's how we're helping her out.
Well, Kim, I don't know how you get a hold of this young lady, but she sounds like she should be somewhere else right now.
And she'll
saving lives.
Listen, I literally just told her that this is the first of many interviews she's gonna have,
Well,
because where she headed, listen. So guess what? Fantastic Friday of our first Abe.
All right.
Abe.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so welcome, Miss Jhodi. Say good evening to the listeners.
Hi, good evening, listeners. How are you today?
Want to hear the lights, not the voice?
They're saying hi back, but you won't hear them yet. Right? So
We don't figure out the part there yet.
Yeah.
make the sound come back through the radio.
We'll
Just
work
one
on that.
direction for now, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so as we were saying earlier, right, we're talking about basically kids before the whole back to school period. You and I had a discussion last night, and even before, we had a lengthy discussion, right?
Yes.
And in our discussions prior to this show, you informed me about the importance of a child's social or school health. I don't think I ever heard of school health or I guess social health or some sort of it.
Yeah.
So I've probably heard piece of the term, but I never thought of social or school health overall before. So can you explain what that is and also why it is important?
Well, before she gets into that, Kim, can you just give us a little synopsis, just a small, brief idea of what it is that you do? Because we hear the big terms. Kim.
Yes.
You're
Oh,
the
but you
big
want to break it down
Yeah.
to layman term? I
Give me an
agree.
idea. Like you said,
I
who are
agree.
You wanna know what I
and
do?
this and that. Yeah, that's
Yes.
right, shortly, yeah.
All right, so basically, I work as a consultant in different states. So I work for the US mostly, and they will bring me into, so there are two aspects to my job. They'll bring me into a healthcare system and try to figure out what is needed to set up, say, for instance, mobile clinics. That's one aspect. And then the second aspect that's dear to my heart, that's why Kimmie has been here on this show,
Yes.
is where I go into the school system. So I work with the public health school system, and I'll come in and assess kids. Why is it that they're failing, and why they're not performing to their maximum capacity?
Oh.
So with that, it comes with assessing those kids, seeing what is going on, why they're not performing in school, and majority of the time, it's usually what's happening at home.
Okay.
So that's
All right.
what
so
I
you're-
do.
So she's the doctor basically for, our school kids and our system as it relates to our kids operating in school
Yes.
and even in the medical system, what we need
Exactly,
here. Okay,
and
I
it
get
sounds like we need to ensure Jhodi don't go back to the US. Come and say in Jamaica could I do with that still.
Well, I mean, we can
like we
probably
need to
find
keep her
ways.
here a little longer.
You can find ways to get her to work.
Well,
with
we're
us
point.
as well.
Remote.
Just like
Exactly.
how we have a traveling resident DJ,
Yeah,
we have
we
a
have
traveling resident
doctor.
doctor, you know,
Alright.
we'll work on it.
Alright.
But yes, so in our discussions before, we spoke about social or school health. So can you explain what that is and why it is important?
All right, so social health, the definition that we normally go by is the ability for someone to interact and to form meaningful relationships. So we now use that in the school system to assess the kids. How are they interacting with other kids? How are they performing in school? How are they interacting with their teachers, their coaches? And based on a child's interaction within the school system, I can tell if there's an issue at home. Now, mind you, there are students or kids with special abilities, but they are still assessed with that in mind. So, for instance, you have a child that is coming to school and you ask them a question as simple as, do you have any friends? Do you like school? Let's start with that one. Do you like school? The average child would say, oh, I don't really like the work, but I love my friends.
Right. So,
But when you hear a child saying, I don't like school, I hate school, then you say, what about the teachers? I hate my teacher.
right.
What about the work? I hate the work.
Everything.
Everything is hated, then that is a big red flag.
Okay.
Because kids love to play, they love to interact, that's their natural nature. Some might be more reserved, but they would tend to like the playful aspect
Yeah,
of school.
One side of it at least.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are some of the things that we look at to see if there are red flags and intercept immediately so that we can fix the situation now and don't wait until they're 18 years old on their own and is of no use to society.
Listen, that one is deep,
Yeah.
right, guys? So that's what I wanted this conversation to be about. Let's try to catch some of these issues from early. And I know some of you guys might be like, oh, my child's in 5th form or 6th form or, already so old. But my thing is you can still make a difference now. You know, there's also people that even when they reach adulthood, that's when they're making their major changes.
Yes.
So don't think that, okay, because they're this much year old or they're almost 18 means that, oh, you can't make a change. No, that's just how they are. That is not true.
And some of us as adults need to do some bit of changing as
Yes.
well. But let's
Exactly.
start with the kids here.
Right?
You need a sound horn for that one right there.
Listen. But so I like how you dropped that question about do you like school? So these are questions that you'd recommend parents now
To
have
ask.
with their children.
Yeah.
Yes,
Any other
definitely.
questions that's probably
Yes. So I jot down a few and I'm going to share them with you.
Yeah, man.
Yes. So some of them is like, for instance, I'll ask, do you have friends?
Yeah.
Not every child is going to have 10,000 friends
Right.
and Miss Popular or Mr. Popular, but some might have a one friend, you know.
Yeah.
They, everybody have their clique and their interest.
Yeah.
Some kids like, anime. That wasn't my thing. But the anime crew have the anime
Had the
friends.
crew, exactly.
Yeah.
One friend you eat lunch with and things.
Yeah.
So if they say they have no friend, that is something that you want to look into as well. I'm not saying it will always be a problem, but that's something to look out
Yeah.
for. Then you ask them, how many friends do they have? Is it a small group or a large group? That will also indicate something.
Yeah.
So if it is that this child has a smaller group of friends, it's a lot more easy to manage the social aspect of this child, because now if it's 5 friends, you have 5 birthday
5
party.
influences and
Yes.
5, yeah.
And it's easier to keep in contact with these parents, because keeping in contact with the parents of those 5 kids that your child is interacting with is very important, because those kids will now influence your kids.
Wow, boy, man, I tell you.
How much of us are doing that?
Yes.
Right now, Jhodi, I mash up a couple people right now because right now, all them can tell you is that,
They can tell the name of the friend.
No,
Probably the first name.
Yeah. Miss, my child, Marcus. Is like,
And Marcus. Me no know.
The brown girl.
The brown, yeah.
No, that is it.
That
We're
is
not
it, just
familiar
first
with
name.
who our children are hanging out with.
No,
You need to get,
it's very important.
You mentioned that you should even have contact to the.
With the parents.
Parents. Yep.
Yes.
That's big.
It's very big. Like, I'll give an example. You might be very concerned about your child, right? And you would say, okay, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. That's what you have instilled for your child. You spend all your money, you spend all your effort to make sure your child is being grown properly. Then you have a child that's hanging out with your friend.
Yeah.
That, say for instance, the parents just cool, them go certain places, they go bird shooting, they go this, and they have access to guns. This is an example. And for them, holding and teaching their child to use a gun is normal.
Right.
Okay, no problem. But your child was not trained to use a gun.
Yeah.
So they show your friend, they go to their friend's house, they show them how to use, they're playing around with it. But your child has not been trained what is gun
What is a
safety.
gun? Exactly.
What is a gun?
And the dangers.
And the dangers. So it might not be dangerous for somebody else's child to use it because they may have been trained. But your child go now in that presence, get all excited and start to play with it. So these are little things. I'm not saying that it's going to be always the peer pressure into sex or whatever
Right.
that is always being pushed. It could be something as simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why the importance to know the other parents.
Environments your child
And understand the type of parent, because you as an adult can now observe, okay, that's a very relaxed, family structure.
Yeah.
Or so you sort of know. And also, if it is that there are certain practices
Yes.
that your child come home with, you know if I ask question first. But no, I'm gonna make 2 phone call and
Yeah.
say,
Exactly.
Lionel, listen, you're the
Yeah,
picnic,
this is new for us.
Exactly. Like, I know I don't say that word in this house.
Right.
So where did they get that?
Right.
So I love that. I actually would love, I hope if you never learn nothing else today, guys, you learn the part there, get to know who are the kids of the friends of your children and
their parents.
actually have communication with them.
parents.
So it's not just, Marcus by name. Somehow we don't even know what Marcus look like. Just because you picnic every day come and talk about Marcus, you know the name Marcus. You don't know nothing else
And
about Marcus.
You know the worst thing.
Marcus could have been a big man, I don't even know.
Sometimes like, next thing Marcus don't even go to school.
Exactly, Marcus
So,
could have been one man on
that's
the
how
street,
these things-
and you don't know. Every day, just hear, "Oh,
Where
Marcus
you
is
get
so
that book
fun."
from? My friend Marcus, yeah, you think is a classmate.
Big man.
Yeah, we have to check these things, people.
So I
parents,
love. If you never learn nothing else today,
parents.
I hope that is
Start
what
there.
stuck with you,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So those are some questions like, do you have friends, and probably how many friends, and if they
Yes.
like school. Those are stuff that parents should be asking and
Yes.
having a conversation.
And another thing they could ask their kids, what does Marcus love to do for fun?
Okay.
Tell us what Marcus is into. So now you have an idea of what to expect as well and how to gauge.
And then probably what also attracts your child to that friend.
Yes.
Exactly.
Kids love to look at things.
Them talk, they look at things, them, yeah.
Marcus' father drive big car. You get
Yeah.
ideas what interests them. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good.
Exactly.
I'm ready now, Kim. Ready.
Where is it? After one advice was shared, you're ready now for the kids, right?
I'm ready. All right.
So, and this is important, Aisha, because it tells some of the issues that your child may be experiencing,
Yes.
or there's like little flags or little signals
little
that you
flags.
pick up on.
Yes.
And these are signals that an untrained parent would you recommend, like, okay, go to some sort of training, some sort of guidance, or these are things that based on the answers you get from your kids, if you're really listening, you can understand what is really happening with them.
So I'm not going to assume everybody knows how to read these flags because everybody's experience is different.
Yeah.
So what may look good to one parent may not be good for
Right.
another parent.
True.
My advice is it takes a village. If it is that you are already concerned and you are now seeing what you consider red flags, contact someone in that particular field. So you can check with either a child psychologist, a child guidance counselor,
Right.
or you could even check within, they have family ministries.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's always a good way to go.
Yeah.
So you can check
Those
in.
methods so far would have been free.
Yeah, because I was
You know,
trying
they
to
have school
think
guidance
as a
counselors
parent, they'd be like, okay, but even if I do get these answers, how do I know? You know, so that's really where that question came
You
from.
can always check in because,
So, yeah.
as I say, it might not be a flag.
It might not be a flag, as you say.
It's
Yes.
still concerned, so you
Yes.
want to see what's happening. Yeah, check with the counselors. You say guidance counselor, a child psychologist, or
Yes.
even.
And it might not be a flag
ministries.
yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
So
it might be
a
an early,
Yes.
early detection type of thing. All right, but since now we have a better understanding of social health, right? Let's say now we have picked up on some red flags.
Yes.
What are some ways we can recommend to parents to help to improve their child's social or school health?
You want
so
the
let's
truth?
say the truth. Let's
want
say
the truth?
let's go right to the truth.
That's where we've been looking for, yeah.
All right. I'm so glad that you never said my name, right? So nobody don't
But
know
they
me.
said earlier, but no worry, I'm gonna spell it out on the ear.
If only we never did post this. But
Right.
anyway, let's go ahead.
All right. So prioritizing our kids. Ooh.
Yeah.
The one that rough, don't it? But let's say it again for those in the back. Prioritizing our kids.
That's setting the time.
Yeah. And as we setting the making, because I remember saying to some, and this is a completely off-topic conversation, but I remember saying to somebody that, hey, I know you have a lot on your plate, you're juggling all these things, you know, you're sure you still want to go there or do that, and they're like, listen, it's not about being available, because the truth is, I'm always busy. There's always something to
Right.
do, but then you make the time for what is important.
Right.
So yes, we know all the parents out here, we have work, we have school, we have 6 children, we're probably a single parent, we probably don't have much money, so we have the stress to deal with. We know all of these things, but at the end of the day, you have to make, not figure it out or whatever time left you know dedicates to your child, make the time.
Yes.
Right? So yeah, that was me preaching a little bit. You know? Yeah. But yes.
No, but the
Prioritize
time,
kids,
yeah. So not only just in time, but prioritizing them as a whole. So I'll give an example. A family, let's say for instance, majority, and this is very sad. This is a cultural thing that we've been struggling with as a country. A single motherhood, basically. Parent, the male parent is generally missing.
Why, sir? Guys, you're letting me down, guys. We need to step up. Yeah, man, I realize
Yes.
and I would think that would have been a trend that would have started to fade out, but it
No.
seems
No,
to
it
be
not really has faded out
Seems to be
at all.
increasing.
Yeah.
I call it the baby father syndrome. Yes. So baby father syndrome is something that Jamaica struggles highly
Yeah.
with. And with a male parent being missing, it now puts a strain on the mother. Now you have a single mother working, let's say for instance, the average job. This is not for everybody.
Right.
You're working at the average job. What's the average job in Jamaica? Everywhere I've spoken to persons, it seemed to be the call center.
Yeah, that's gonna
All
be-
right. So nothing is wrong with working at the call center. However, the pay is not that high.
Yeah.
So now you have a single mother with maybe multiple kids working at a call center. Now the average rent for Jamaica, if we talk about it, they cannot generally afford it all the time. So now you're having a struggling mother working a job that's not paying her as much to take care of her and her kids.
Yeah.
So how do you tell her now to prioritize time when she have to work to feed all these kids?
Yeah, I should not work. The money
And
not
it should
come
not
in.
work.
Money not exactly.
Yeah.
So this is where we now have to find ways and creative ways to find time for them. So for instance, call center open from Monday to Friday, and your shift is from Monday to Friday. Make sure Saturday and Sunday you're available for your kids.
Right.
So if it is that you're going to the market, everybody go and make it fun.
Okay.
Don't make it a responsibility to go to the market. Oh, may I send you go shop?
Right.
No, let's go together.
Okay.
We're gonna family, and then you can get a little tea biscuit or a
Yeah.
treat or something. So you make it into a family gathering or
Activity.
Like a little
activity.
event, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yes.
So togetherness during the times that you're available, basically.
Yes, that's basically it. Also, you know, one of the things that, and this is something my grandmother always says, it doesn't matter how much money you have, tea time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You just need a pot of water and 2 tea leaf.
Yeah.
And you come and you spend time with your kids and you talk about the day or the week that they've been through. Now, these are the things that kids remember in years to come, no matter how small they are. You say, what about the boy kids? Go out and kick 2 ball with them.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a left and a right foot, you can have 2 left foot. You can't kick.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that is also good for you too.
Yeah.
So if you're going out as a parent and saying, all right, I'm very stressed, I have this to do, but I have a Saturday off, let me take 15 minutes and play ball with my son. You come outside, you're getting physical activity. That is also allowing you to release these hormones, the feel-good hormones, and that is also good for you as a parent.
And then there's the bond with the child.
2
for 1 there, guys.
Yes. And then I'm going to touch on this thing, and I know persons might not want me to say it.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how you have on a $500 wig and your kids don't have school books.
And when we say $500, we mean the US dollars. Okay?
Yeah, the US dollar.
dollars.
Yeah. At the top,
we
it's
know a
just
couple of
us.
a while ago say, 5 bills Jamaican. Like,
No.
Okay, 5 days a week.
That's what
Right now,
I
5
say.
bills
But for
can't be
those
divided
who
by
were assuming I had to
Yeah.
just put it out there,
Yeah.
that y'all have all these things, braffins, but
the
then your
thing,
child need book
The
and
thing though
shoes.
is not that they neglect the child in that element as well, because the child will also have on a $250, pair of Jordans.
Yes.
Sometimes.
That is where the priority now comes in for your child's health, not your child to look good. So this is one of the things that we found in one of the schools that was failing. Can't call the school, but it was in
That's right.
it was in a little state over to the east.
Yeah.
And we found that most of the kids them have on Jordan,
Yeah, Clarks.
clocks.
Everything in our brand.
Everything, everybody name who don't know your name. So you're spending all this money with these companies and they don't know who you are. So what you find is that these kids are coming to school with $300-400 US shoes, right? And can't spell.
Wow.
No. Whereas, and I'm going to say this is something that they can do with their kids. They can learn to invest. I'm not saying you have to have the money to invest, You can learn to invest. So what I realized with the kids that were doing extremely well, their parents will take them on a Saturday evening, They were working hard, yes. They'll take maybe 20 minutes and they will both learn maybe the stock market or how to invest in certain things.
Right.
So that is also a bonding experience. So there was a particular child, her parent took her and said, we're going to learn together. And instead of buying the Jordans, they bought $250. Instead of the $250 sneaker, they took that $250 and put it in the stock market.
Right.
Child and mother don't know anything about stock market,
Right.
But they
They're learning
started to
together.
learn together.
Yeah.
And right now, that child has more money than the average person.
Okay.
So that is something that you could do. And when I say that child now is somebody that comes to, like, she would come and I will see her while I'm walking through the school system. I will see her and she would say, I made this on that investment. No,
And
look
that's
at
her
that.
conversation.
Yes, and
Wow.
she's 14 years old.
Wow. Okay.
And then I also met another young lady. She's now 31, retired, living in Bahamas, retired,
Yeah.
with over $3 million in her account.
Okay.
Her parents, poor, don't have it. They started to learn to invest.
Okay.
And so these are things that I'm not saying that everybody must learn to invest.
Yeah, or that's the route for everybody.
That's not the route for everybody. But
learn income earning activities
with your kids.
Or even just something productive. Even if it's not income earning, but you're learning a skill.
Yes.
Or you're learning a hobby or something,
Personal
But it can't
development,
just be
something.
about spending money or just tell them, go and go use a tablet and I can't bother with that, right? No.
Oh, don't get me started
No,
on
I
that.
was just gonna say because how you gonna compete to teach them, these things when we are outside teaching them how to do the new TikTok dances?
Exactly.
Oh.
That's priority these days,
You
dancing.
bring up the TikTok for.
The parents are
facts.
there in the videos. So
Yes.
they're like, hey, come with me.
And sometimes unquestionable song choices in the background, and I'm like, how are you and a
Yes.
6-year-old dancing to
Yes.
that song?
Yes.
Like, you never think this through. I mean, yeah, you can dance together, but it's
but
still a
it's
bonding
6-year-old
experience.
choice,
Yes.
Oh, in my 6-year-old
Yeah,
choice, a
she told me to
6-year-old.
play the song.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
look at
so we
these.
just follow
For the
suit. So we just
parents
follow
these days.
suit.
But
All
this
right.
is the interesting part.
Yeah.
We have studied it and seen that TikTok has trained our children to only have an attention span of 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Yep.
15, 1-5. I never say 5 minutes. I never say 10 minutes. I never say 15 minutes.
Yeah.
How long is a class session generally in school?
Wow, right now it's basically 45 to an hour.
45 minutes to 1.5 hours, depending on the institution
them not
for the
learn then.
child.
After
So
them
how a
come in.
child must learn
You some list
15 seconds?
Listen for my name, pay attention, for the whole roll call.
By the
After
time-
that,
by the time you make the call, somebody have to touch you. And say,
exactly,
"Yeah."
come pay attention.
Yeah, 'Cause
15
it's
seconds?
first on the list. But I'm
The
telling
rest of the
you,
class, nothing, no, God.
that's gonna happen.
No, that's
Somebody
really
take out your
sad.
calculator and calculate how much 15 seconds is in 1 hour.
Why Jhodi show you up? Why Jhodi show you
That
up?
mathematics people, we're gonna go to
We'll go to the break and work it out and come back.
And my abacus.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're definitely having a wonderful conversation.
Listen,
here.
I'm enjoying. I hope you guys are learning because I'm learning, right? I'm trying to make these notes. Don't have kids yet, but you never know. When I do, I'll be ready.
Things to consider for back to school with our special guest, Dr. Jhodi Bennett.